I immediately started telling him, like, I'm born and raised here, like, I'm a U.S. citizen, and he did not care at all.
But we can all stand up to ICE if you know your rights.
People are fighting back, standing up together as ICE and Border Patrol continue their crackdown on innocent people at the directive of Stephen Miller and Donald Trump in their attempt to ruin as many lives before Christmas as possible. So in this video, I'm going to get to the latest clip from Zohran Mamdani and what he advises people to do if they are being targeted by ICE. I'm also going to get to a harrowing story caught on video out of Louisiana and just generally what's been going on there recently, as well as how people there are coming together. And I'm also going to get to some latest polling on how young people now feel about Trump and how things have shifted dramatically. So let me first start with just an incredible piece of data that came out today. ICE has arrested nearly 75,000 people with no criminal record. This is data directly from ICE that was released through a lawsuit against them shared by the University of California, Berkeley's Deportation Data Project. So the data is compiled by an internal ICE office. The administration stopped posting detailed information on ICE arrests in January. I wonder why. And for arrestees with criminal histories, so even those that aren't part of that 75,000 data point, that data around criminal histories doesn't distinguish between minor offenses and serious crime. So some of those people that are caught in the other 2/3 of the arrests could simply be a minor traffic violation that constitutes, a criminal history that somebody has and is targeted by ICE over it. Now, also worth pointing out that the figures do not include arrests made by Border Patrol, which will come into play when I get to the New Orleans story, as Border Patrol are the ones doing the patrols there. But they're also both, Border Patrol and ICE are under the DHS, which essentially at this point has the same directive. Now, let me get to first the Mamdani clip, because I think it's really important to share this. I'm also going to share a link after this clip for people that want more information and just want it readily available. But here is Mamdani.
Last weekend, ICE attempted to raid Canal Street and detain our immigrant neighbors. As mayor, I'll protect the rights of every single New Yorker, and that includes the more than 3 million immigrants who call this city their home. But we can all stand up to ICE if you know your rights. If you encounter ICE, these are the things that every New Yorker should know. First, ICE cannot enter into private spaces like your home, school, or a private area of your workplace without a judicial warrant signed by a judge. That looks like this. If ICE does not have a judicial warrant signed by a judge, you have the right to say, I do not consent to entry, and the right to keep your door closed. Sometimes ICE will show you paperwork that looks like this and tell you that they have the right to arrest you. That is false. ICE is legally allowed to lie to you, but you have the right to remain silent. If you're being detained, you may always ask, am I free to go, repeatedly until they answer you. You are legally allowed to film ICE as long as you do not interfere with an arrest. It is important to remain calm during any interaction with ICE or law enforcement. Do not impede their investigation, resist arrest, or run. One last thing. New Yorkers have a constitutional right to protest, and when I'm mayor, we will protect that right. New York will always welcome immigrants, and I will fight each and every day to protect, support, and celebrate our immigrant brothers and sisters.
I think this video is so important. Without someone of authority like a mayor telling you what you can and can't do, what you should and shouldn't do, it can be hard for the average person to know exactly what their rights are, and can they really trust something that they saw on Twitter or saw on Facebook. But you have a mayor telling you what you can and can't do. I think that really helps to inform people, as well as this. So some of this I think was referenced actually in that video, but I will link to this below the video under sources. This is from the National Immigrant Justice Center, and you could actually see the comparisons of the documents that that Mamdani shared in that video. So things that are not documents that can, lead to you being arrested, and ones that are legitimate, like this judicial warrant here. So several examples there. Again, very important to have this kind of stuff handy in case you're worried that ICE or Border Patrol are in your area and you may be unfairly targeted. Now, I want to get to what's been going on in New Orleans. So there's been an immigration enforcement blitz from the DHS, largely carried out by Border Patrol, with their aim to make 5,000 arrests. Already, when you have a quota that you're supposed to meet, that doesn't mean that they're targeting violent offenders. That means they are trying to meet a quota. So they're going to try to sweep up people who simply aren't guilty of anything, but they fit a certain racial profile that allows them, uh, consciously or subconsciously, to make an arrest that they think can help to fill that quota. So this gets to Jeff Landry. This is the governor of Louisiana, who is in full support of this bullshit, saying entering this country illegally doesn't make you immune from the law. If you commit crimes here, you face consequences. Again, they're not actually going after criminals. Louisiana will not be a refuge for violent offenders. He also goes on to thank Trump and Kristi Noem. Now, here is the reality. The city is on pace to have its lowest number of homicides in nearly 50 years, according to the New Orleans Police Department. But that hasn't stopped them from going after people like this innocent 22-year-old Jacelyn Guzman, who is a American citizen that was chased down the street by Border Patrol agents. So I'm going to get to a local news story on this where they speak to her about what happened and why she thinks she was targeted.
Home surveillance video captures the moment 22-year-old Jacelyn Guzman sprints toward her Marrero home, shouting that she's a U.S. citizen as masked men run after her. Guzman says she had just walked back from the corner store when an SUV pulled up.
I immediately started telling him, like, I'm born and raised here, like, I'm a U.S. citizen, and he did not care at all.
Moments later, a second unmarked vehicle pulled up, and more men in tactical gear jumped out.
Because I didn't know if I should run or not. I was scared. But then another car pulled up, and that's when I was like, oh, I'm out here.
Inside the home was her baby daughter and her stepfather, who heard her screaming and ran outside.
Hispanic people against Hispanic, bro.
Confronting the men and ordering them off the property.
Screaming is the worst feeling ever because I thought she really was like somebody want to hurt her, you know?
Guzman believes the agents singled her out because of her appearance.
Here, they're just like racially profiling all POC, people of color, you know? And it's entirely wrong because they think that they are superior than us. And the man that was chasing me, he was Hispanic. So it's a little like, you know?
She believes she was being abducted, not approached by law enforcement.
And there have been many examples of that happening. Criminals dressing up as ICE and Border Patrol, pretending to be them because they see how much ICE and Border Patrol get away with unmarked vehicles, wearing masks. It really could be anybody. And even if it is ICE or Border Patrol, in many cases, they're taking completely innocent people, even though they claim to be taking violent criminals. So this is from The Guardian here. DHS and Republican leaders have framed the crackdown as targeting the most violent offenders, but the records reviewed by the AP identify only 9 of the 38 people arrested. This is in Louisiana. Arrested in the first days as having criminal histories that rose beyond traffic violations. Information that intelligence bulletins warn should not be distributed to the media. So they know the people they are arresting are completely innocent people because they are directly saying, hey, don't tell the media that these are innocent people that we're taking. Now, here's an example of how the community is coming together to defend one another. This is a clip from a CNN segment.
And Becky, I wanted to show you this. This is a whistle that we just received from a restaurant. They actually had a sign, and this sign was up to say, take one of these whistles, and if you see the agent, start blowing the whistle so everyone in the neighborhood could know they were there. And what they're hoping is people will start repeating this action throughout the city. There's actually food caravans as well that are being set up so that people can get fed during the next few days. So if they don't want to go out to the grocery store, or they don't want to go to a restaurant, they're able to not leave their homes.
It's good to see communities coming out to defend one another. And in a twisted sort of way, it's bringing people together. Just how destructive ICE and Border Patrol have been to the lives of tens of thousands of people. Again, going back to that ICE figure, 75,000 people completely innocent, not to mention many more who are wrapped up under being a criminal, but it may just be some minor offense. So I want to share this as well. I'm not going to play these clips, but Ford Fisher here, he's a documentarian who's been on the ground in Louisiana covering the pushback against Border Patrol, doing a really good job breaking down just how much support this fight against that has, including, I want to share this quote here from a citizen in Louisiana. It'd be different if they were going after criminals or people like they say, but we see that they're going around schools, one organizer described. They're going to communities, grabbing people from work, things like that. People are scared to go to work, he says, adding that some are not showing up to work at construction projects he works at out of fear of CBP. So just think of the massive disruption this has had on the lives of these families, on even industries within Louisiana or whatever state and city is being targeted. It's destructive in so many ways, and it's incredible that anybody even thinks to defend these sorts of actions. Now, one last thing I have to share, because this is leaving on a happy note, is just how hated Trump is by younger voters in terms of the switch from where it was after inauguration. So there was a lot of talk when Trump was elected, oh, Gen Z is moving more conservative. They actually love Trump, which was never really true. But it was in a higher percentage than it had been previously. But that has completely reversed. Here is Harry Enton on CNN.
Donald Trump put in the best performance for a Republican presidential candidate among young voters since George W. Bush did back in the early 2000s. And, you know, he started off his term, his net approval rating among voters under the age of 30 at plus 10 points. Hey, that's pretty gosh darn good. But you come over now, according to CBS News YouGov, this isn't falling into the water. This isn't going underseas. This is going into a deep, dark, black hole. Look at that, minus 46 points. That is a shift on the net approval of 56 points in the wrong direction since February. My goodness gracious, you know I love looking at these swings, looking how the electorate changes. You rarely ever see swings.
We look at a lot of polls. We almost never see drops this big, this quickly.
You know, it's unfortunate that there was ever that kind of support for him to begin with. Plus 10 at the beginning of his term is insane. But seeing it now down at minus 46 is at least something to be a little hopeful about going into the future. If you enjoyed this video, please hit like and subscribe and check out some of the other videos I have on this channel.